Well, hi, everyone. So glad that you joined. It's going to be an interesting session. And so I'm Valerie Sloan. So I'm working with the GEO REU community. And today we're fortunate to have a couple of people who joined us on very, very short notice, who work on this common application and who are here to tell us about it. So one of them is Christina Tuttle. Christina, hi. And Cecilia Speroni. So again, thank you so much for coming and telling us about it. And I'll let you take it away.
Super. Thank you so much, Valerie. And thanks to all of you for taking the time out of your afternoon to come hopefully learn a little bit during this session. We're really excited to have this opportunity to share with you an ongoing initiative at NSF, which is the Education and Training Application, fondly referred to as ETAP, which has really been designed just for NSF to support its education and training opportunities. My name is Christina Tuttle. I'm actually the project director for ETAP at Mathematica, which is the contractor that developed and manages the ETAP system. And I'm joined today by Cecilia Speroni, Dr. Cecilia Speroni, who is at NSF at EAC and also was instrumental in the system's development and now its ongoing management at NSF. So REU, as this audience is well aware, is one of a number of NSF programs that's really focused on working on removing barriers to participation in STEM fields. Several NSF programs, including REU and several sites at REU have actually been using ETAP's free common application system for a couple of years. Usage of ETAP is voluntary, and we do want to kind of emphasize that as you listen to this presentation, we really invite you to think about how this system might help you in your efforts, help your students, help your faculty, but also be thinking about what it is that we can be doing to continually improve the system. This is still a really sort of nascent opportunity. It's still sort of being considered to be piloted, so this is really the time to kind of weigh in and let your opinions be known. In the interest of time, I am going to suggest that we hold questions until the end. We tend to sort of, when we do these presentations, oftentimes the questions that'll come up will be ones that we'll kind of address in the next slide. So hopefully we'll get to a lot of your burning questions during the course of the presentation. I'll only be talking for less than 20 minutes, so we'll have plenty of time at the end for your questions. And at that point, this is a small enough group that y'all can just speak up, but also feel free to use the chat window. So with that, let me dive in. So what is ETAP? ETAP is a secure online platform that NSF began piloting a couple of years ago to connect applicants, at the time undergraduate and graduate students, with opportunities that are made possible by NSF funded awards. ETAP does this by providing PIs of NSF awards access to its electronic common application system that can be customized to fit the needs of your specific opportunities. By opportunities, we mean scholarships, fellowships, research experiences for students sort of at many levels, former students, and even teachers in some cases. One of the reasons that ETAP was set up was to address legislation that created new reporting and evidence requirements for NSF. So from the NSF perspective, ETAP allows the system to collect high quality data from participants in NSF funded opportunities at a moment of time when they're applying for funding and therefore have a really good incentive to provide complete information. This then enhances NSF's ability to monitor their education and workforce development programs and to facilitate future evaluations of their impact. So while addressing these requirements, NSF has also worked to create an application system that provides a service to the community and one that intentionally promotes equity and participation in NSF programs. So as an NSF funded PI, ETAP allows you or designated members of your project team to quickly set up your program opportunities so you can get started with recruiting for your program opportunities much faster and not lose time and money setting up an application infrastructure from scratch. In addition, you get to receive access to useful data about your project's applicants and participants, and also how they compare to similar awards that are also using the ETAP system. We'll get into a little bit more about what that looks like later in the presentation. With respect to applicants to NSF-funded opportunities, the system provides a transparent and centralized location of information on training opportunities. It also reduces burden on applicants by virtue of having a common application that can be repurposed across multiple training opportunities that are funded by NSF. Just for a sense of kind of the scale of its current use, for the last fiscal year, this past fiscal year 22, we had 128 different opportunities using ETAP, more than 18,000 users, which included prospective applicants, PIs, GO-PIs, and their designated team. And almost 5,000 unique applicants submitted about 9,000 applications. So an average of 1.8 applications per applicant. So definitely the idea of this being kind of a marketplace is starting to be fulfilled, but for the most part, applicants aren't going crazy by applying to sort of everything but the kitchen sink all at once. Before I take some time to go through what ETAP offers in detail, I do want to show you a short introductory video to ETAP so that you can get a better view of what the system actually looks like in reality. This video was developed for PIs, so it's really focused for principal investigators, and is posted on the ETAP website under the Principal Investigator tab. So without further ado, let me go to that. I'll show you how we navigate. So this is the landing page for the NSF ETAP site. So if you go to the Principal Investigators tab and scroll down, there are a series of videos. I'll talk about the others in a second, but let me get started with the overview video.
The NSF Education Training Application, also known as ETAP, is a secure online platform that provides you, the principal investigator, access to unique tools to help you manage your NSF award opportunities all in one place. ETAP offers you a free, full-fledged common application system. Within ETAP, you can easily create opportunities for applicants to participate in and have readily available information about applicants and participants to fulfill NSF reporting requirements. You can tailor your application requirements to include the materials that are most helpful to you, such as electronic reference letters, personal statements, college transcripts, and more. Whether you want your opportunity to be publicly advertised to recruit students nationally, or you are just asking program participants to report to NSF information about themselves, ETAP can help. Getting started with ETAP is easy and straightforward. Simply create an account, import your NSF awards, and start managing your opportunities. Plus, you don't have to do everything alone. A special feature of ETAP is that it allows you to assemble teams and delegate tasks to help you manage your opportunity. To set up an opportunity, start by providing information to help prospective applicants decide whether your opportunity would be a good fit for them. Then, specify what information you need to decide if applicants would be a good fit for your opportunity. This includes your application window, who can view and apply, and your application requirements. After setup is complete, the only thing left is to publish your opportunity. Now you will have a unique link you can share to promote your opportunity. Want to tap into the growing pool of prospective applicants coming to NSF ETAP? Choose to make your opportunity publicly available in the setup process for it to appear in the Search Opportunities section of ETAP, a search specifically optimized to leverage information you provide for applicants to quickly find opportunities that match their interests. ETAP helps you review applications and report participation with ease. When you're ready to review applicants, ETAP offers the option to manage applicants individually through an interactive table, or use bulk actions to manage multiple applicants at a time. For example, you can download all application materials with just a click of a button. Then you report participation and you're done. Need award participant statistics for writing a renewal proposal? Curious to see how your applicants compare to your participants? You can access reports, which provide descriptive statistics about your participants and how they compare to participants in other opportunities. You can also access raw data to support your own analysis. ETAP is here to support you every step of the way. We invite you to explore all ETAP has to offer. ETAP is available to use now at nsfetap.org.
All right. So in addition to this particular video, there are more how-to video resources that cover a variety of key activities on the site, such as how to create an account or how to create an opportunity or designate a proxy. We'll go into all of those in a little bit and dig into the details. So what data or what information does ETAP collect? Data collection comes in two parts. First part is the NSF registration form that is common across all opportunities. It includes contact information, basic demographic information, prior degrees and current enrollment, and some additional questions that get to socioeconomic status, such as parental education and receipt of Pell Grants. As you can see, there are also some questions that aren't going to be relevant to REU about teachers, as the ETAP system supports other programs' data needs. Awards are likely to have much more detailed information on their applicants, but this common application, or might need much more detailed information on their applicants, but this common collection is helpful to collect data in a consistent manner across programs. For more details on what is collected and how the questions are asked, the link at the bottom of this slide, which we can share after the fact, takes you to screenshots for the registration form that applicants see. Those screenshots are also available under the answers to frequently asked questions on the Principal Investigator tab on the site. ETAP also leverages existing administrative data in the system, basically incorporating information about different K-12 educational institutions from Common Core of Data and the Private School Universe Survey, as well as information about institutions of higher education from IPEDS and Carnegie classifications. This is useful because basically this information is pre-populated in the system and allows for additional analysis from principal investigators who are interested in the characteristics of the universities from which their applicants are currently attending, for example. In terms of the second part of the data that ETAP collects is the additional application requirements that you would set up as part of your opportunity. And this is really the customizable portion of the application system. There are preset options that can be added in. For example, you can determine if you want to request a personal statement, a transcript, reference letters, or add on additional questions. All of these are optional for you to select that you want to ask about or not ask about. And as you can see in this particular image over here on the side, individual custom questions that you add can be tailored in a variety of ways. For example, you could ask them to select a location of interest if there happen to be multiple locations for your opportunity, so using a multiple choice option, or you could ask them to rank order their research topics if your opportunity offers something like that. There are also simple yes/no questions, perhaps related to whether they've taken a particular type of course. And of course, you can also ask for short or long text answers or additional files to be uploaded as well. So in particular, if you have specific questions that you want to be addressed in a personal statement, you can actually include that as a custom question and ask for a file upload. That also gives you the flexibility to implement whatever character length or word lengths you want to have for the questions that you're asking for. One additional helpful feature that I'll point out here, both for applicants and for PIs, is that students can request reference letter writers and monitor their status through the system. The letters themselves are confidential, of course, but applicants have the ability to send reminders or change out the references that they're requesting for an individual application if somebody happens to be unresponsive. So the advantage to you as PIs here or your proxies is that the system enables the applicants to monitor that. So the applicants don't need to be reaching out to you all the time to confirm whether reference letters have been submitted. In addition, you have the flexibility when you're talking about the additional requirements that you want to set up for your opportunity to specify whether you want the applicants to request something specific in the reference letter, and then applicants have the ability to customize the information that goes to the reference writer to do that. The other thing I want to add here and highlight in red, so you don't miss it, is that ETAP, something new this year is that ETAP is expanding to serve more programs and along with that, more types of participants. So one of the improvements that we're really excited about, that'll be new functionality that's implemented next week, is actually that determining eligibility requirements are now going to be actually part of your opportunity setup, so they can be opportunity specific. Previously, the registration form that was common across all different opportunities required applicants to certify US citizenship. That's been taken out, so that's not a limitation for the different types of people that you serve for your programs. This obviously helps support different programs, but also different opportunities within individual awards that might have different criteria or eligibility requirements. So once you set these up, there actually will be a statement before an applicant is given the ability to move forward and apply to your opportunity, that they must actually certify that they meet the eligibility requirements that you set up. You also get the opportunity to control whether an opportunity is quote unquote public. To get set up in ETAP, PIs need to take the initial action to set up an ETAP account using the same email address used for the NSF award. And that will bring up the award in the system, which is already pre-filled or pre-populated to allow the creation of your opportunity. If you happen to go check that out and you don't see your award, please reach out to the help desk to get that sorted out. Once the PI, and it is the PI that needs to take this first step, sets up their account and the award in the system, then they can identify a team of people to support the opportunity. This is, it includes your co-PIs, but also you can designate proxies, for example, a project coordinator that would then have all the same rights that the PI does to set up and manage the opportunity. You can also designate reviewers that would be able to access the data in the system and other information, but don't have the ability to actually modify or change the opportunity. As you go through the process of setting up your opportunity, you'll be asked to enter more details about the opportunity. And here you can determine whether the opportunity will be made publicly available, or if you would prefer to run the process by invitation only. Each opportunity, regardless of what choice you make there, is actually provided a unique URL and associated page within the system. This URL link can be posted on your program's website, posted on your school's financial aid website, or emailed to the audience of your choosing. If you do make the opportunity available to the public, then the opportunity is going to appear on the website, ETAP website, and is searchable. There are options, as I mentioned on the last slide, there are options during the setup where you can make the eligibility and qualifications needed to apply for the opportunity that are appropriate for your programs and projects needs. The advantage about making your opportunity public is that it can really increase the number of eyes that you get on your opportunity, and therefore applicants that you get coming expressing interest in your particular program. Down here, you can see one of your REI PI colleagues that noted that using ETAP actually really did expand the pool of folks that they were able to recruit from, and their application number actually doubled as a result. Depending on your institution and your project team's preferences, you may choose instead to use the by invitation only option. This can be useful if you, for whatever reason, need to limit the audience for your opportunity, or if you would simply rather use ETAP to actually collect data from participants that you've already selected and identified through another mechanism. This may be especially true for those of you who are at institutions that already have a system in place for collecting applications that you're required to use. Again, the PI, the co-PIs, or the proxies that you set up and designate, like your project coordinator, can control these options during opportunity setup. The other thing I want to point out here is that before your opportunity goes live, there is a forced preview option, so you can see how it actually is going to look before it is public. Another important feature of ETAP is that prospective applicants can search in one place for multiple NSF funded opportunities, again, just limited to the set that PIs have opted to make public. These public opportunities may serve to connect applicants to opportunities they otherwise might not have found. This can be especially helpful to applicants that lack access to other networks and resource opportunities that some potential applicants have. As noted earlier, you will be providing information in your opportunity to make sure it draws in the most relevant applicants, eligibility that you determine that are relevant and pertain to your project and or your institution. One of these could be, for example, that they are actually a student that's enrolled at your specific institution. The search feature that we have here is optimized to leverage information that you provide during opportunity setup to help applicants find opportunities that line up with their interests. When setting up your opportunity, you'll be able to answer questions such as the location, the disciplines that you're focused on, and keywords that would be searchable by potential applicants. Once a student finds an opportunity of interest, or if this happens to be a non-public opportunity that they navigated to directly via the unique URL, they can learn more about the opportunity. And when they click on apply now, if they're not already registered, they'll be prompted to set up their account to apply. There's also, when applicants are looking at this particular information, this page, there's a button you can see here on the top right that actually has the unique URL and can direct prospective applicants to share the opportunity within their own networks if they so choose. Once applications or just participant information is in, if that's how you choose to use ETAP, you as the PI or your proxy can get access to the data in the system in a variety of ways. First, you can download individual applications that in a PDF format with the click of a button. This provides all the materials for a given applicant, including their reference letters, which can be downloaded one by one for individual applicants or all at once. You can also download data in a CSV form. Your custom questions can help you filter to assist with selection. In particular, this might be helpful if you are a site that happens to get a lot of applicants. You can also view aggregate descriptive statistics that allow comparison of applicants to participants for your award, and in comparison with all the other awards in your program that are using ETAP. For REU in particular, you can limit this to just look at other awards, other REU awards using ETAP in GEO specifically. These reports that are ready-made are live. They are updated every night with the most current data so that they reflect kind of the current state. One more thing I want to mention about the applicant level CSV data file, that does include any text responses to custom questions that you impose. The only data or information that's left out of the CSV file are any requested file uploads, such as transcripts or personal statements that are in the file upload format. Those are available in the PDF download, but not in the CSV. But any other custom questions you include, that information does show up in the CSV and is therefore searchable and filterable. ETAP is continuously evolving. The application has been modernized to meet industry standards in terms of both the back-end supporting technology and the front-end user interface. The site's been intentionally designed to make the website more inclusive and accessible. It's mobile friendly, it's 508 compliant, and in the next few months actually is going to be migrated to the NSF environment and will be changing to an nsf.gov URL, which is something that we're really excited about. Another added bonus of using ETAP to support your application process is that ETAP has its own help desk that can assist applicants with a range of questions, including eligibility that would otherwise go directly to you to field. There is dedicated support, and the team is really knowledgeable about when they can handle a question versus when it's something that they need to direct the applicant to go to you directly about. In addition to being able to reach out by phone or email to the help desk, the site also includes resources such as answers to frequently asked questions, both those for PIs and those for applicants, as well as how-to videos that I alluded to before. We're also adding in the next couple weeks a how-to video for applicants to the site as well. We understand there may be cases where applicants lack reliable internet access, and the help desk can provide support for that as needed. That would be something you're welcome to reach out to and contact the help desk for how to proceed there, or for the applicant to reach out about how to proceed. So this is just another way that ETAP can save you as PIs time and effort. I'd also like to note that the help desk is helpful for us from the system development and management perspective, because it's one of the mechanisms by which we can get really extremely helpful feedback from users, and we focus on and internalize that feedback and really use it to inform the improvements to the system and resources that we've made in the past, and continue to prioritize as we develop and continue to roll out the system. So you guys as REU PIs, your active awards should already be in the system, so you can get started whenever you're interested. As a reminder, PIs are responsible for taking the first actions to get set up in ETAP. But once you've done that, once the award has been imported, you can designate a proxy like a project coordinator to set up the opportunity for you. For now, the choice to use ETAP is voluntary. Some programs are choosing to make it mandatory moving forward. But so this really does represent a chance to try it out and let us know what works and doesn't work for you. We do welcome you to try out the system and to share, regardless of whether you ultimately decide to use it, your ideas for improvements that would enable ETAP to better meet your needs in the future, potentially. A couple points that we do want to emphasize for those of you that want to get started and are interested in testing this out. The system does not replace your requirements to submit your annual reports through research.gov. And we do want to flag that ETAP is not currently set up to support use by minors, in case you have things like Bridge to College programs. ETAP can't currently support that, although it's something that is definitely we're looking into and is a potential update or revision enhancement for the future. With that, that is what I wanted to share. So as requested, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other and open it up for questions that you have.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I'll start with a question and just to give people a chance to think about what they want to ask. I'm sorry if you addressed this already, but in future, will there be a mechanism to ask recommenders to fill out a form with questions in place of uploading recommendation letters? Because there's a growing body of research that shows that bias is rife in letter writing and reading, and that decreases the chances of students from marginalized communities of being selected. And so a lot of people are moving more towards a form where it's shorter questions, that kind of thing.
That's a great question. It's not the first time we have heard it, but we're hearing it increasingly. So I will say one thing that's in general very helpful for us is to understand the scope of need and the degree of need. And so every time people raise things like that, it's really helpful for us to know. The short answer to your question is it's not in our current backlog of plans to include, but definitely a concept that is feasible, and so something that we can consider rolling out in the future. I don't know, Cecilia, if you had something you wanted to add to that.
No, I think that that's correct. What I was going, it was an ask. If you run into examples of those different models that are currently being used, and you're willing to share that with us,
sure.
that would be great. You can send us to Christina or to the help desk, and then we will all have access to. It's something that is recently been. It's evolving, so we will definitely think about it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, these are all evolving. I mean, not all, but a lot of this evolves every year. Like some of the gender identity questions, for instance, change at least every couple of years, if not more, or the options, that kind of thing. Okay, well, we'll work on that, trying to pull that together.
Super. And I did, speaking of reaching out to the help desk, I just put in the chat the email address there. It looks like Matthew or Matt has their hand raised.
Yeah, I have a number of questions that I can ask. I really appreciate what you're doing. I want to start with that. You guys are being very conscientious and doing a great work, and it's going to be really useful for a lot of people. You may know that I sent a whole raft of questions, and I may have come across as a little grumpy, and part of that is my situation is that we had an application platform that we really liked, and it went away on us, and so now we are without anything. And I think some of the things that I would prefer are things that you might implement in the near future, but probably not this year, and I'm just going to have to live with that. And I understand that you have limitations on what you're able to do, but following up a bit on actually the question that Val just asked, kind of generalizing it a bit, is that it's great that we have our own section of customizable questions that we can ask of applicants, but there's a whole lot of your application that seems to be not customizable at all. And that includes everything that recommenders fill out seems to be not customizable at all. And also there are some of your standard questions that I personally would not prefer to ask my applicants or even have them confronted with, partly as an accessibility for underrepresented communities issue. And everyone has their own views as program directors on how they want to approach things like that. So I guess what I'm getting at is it irrevocable at this point that such a large fraction of your application is just non-customizable and has to be standardized across all programs?
That's a great question. And first of all, I appreciate all your kind words and your outreach to the help desk already. I really do sincerely mean that this is all, everything we hear is really helpful in us thinking about improving the system and really supporting your guys' needs. So I appreciate your candor and your transparency there. I want to come back to your question about the reference writer piece, because I'm not sure I 100% followed that, but to your broader question about the sort of required items for the registration form, we definitely understand where you're coming from. We've been hearing that. I think this is something that we're continuing to think about. As it stands right now, this is sort of the data that we have OMB approval to collect in the sort of format that we have it to collect. So I think, and to which you alluded to, it's not a change that I would say is immediately forthcoming, but it's definitely something that we're hearing and are having more conversations about. So it's probably not super satisfying response, but it is something that we've been having conversations about. Can you go into a little bit more detail about your question about what the reference writers are or are not sort of required to ask about or talk about?
Yeah, we have had the practice for the last 5 years of kind of when a person logs into the system to submit a letter of recommendation, the questions that they're confronted with are different from the questions that are standard on your application. And it seems like, for example, we don't actually accept a PDF letter at all. We have a 2,000 character text window that we want people to fit what they have to say into that. And that just seems like that's a feature that you currently don't offer at all.
Right.
And we also have some questions where, like, in what capacity do you know the applicant? And we used to have it be a pull down menu and people gave answers that didn't make sense. And we made it like multiple checkboxes, and that worked a lot better. And again, that's the kind of thing that I think you don't currently offer, and it's just not even something that you have made customizable.
Yeah, that is true. And I think, again, relates to the response to that I gave to Valerie. I mean, there are some clunky workaround, not clunky, I shouldn't say that. There are some workarounds that we are more than happy to kind of work with PIs. I know they're not the most satisfying, but there is the ability to sort of include in your application what it is that you want to make sure that a reference includes, including potentially a word limit or a character limit, and that information then the applicants would need to include in their requests out to reference. It's not going to be a foolproof system by any stretch of the imagination. It's not giving you the functionality that it sounds like you had previously. But again, I think in general, the reference writer kind of engagement in the system is something that we've been thinking a lot about and about how to kind of improve that particular piece. So I think all of these pieces of input are incredibly helpful as far as that goes.
If I may ask, Matt, that would also be if you have a model and of your the type of questions that you ask in your reference letter currently, and you're willing to share that with us, that would be great. It's funny that you said that you would rather have the text box for the reference letter. That's how it used to be. I think probably the first or the first 2 years in ETAP, and then the request was from REU math and chemistry that they want equations, and so the text box wasn't good for them. So then we switch over to having the PDF. Obviously, supporting both would be ideal, but it just increases the complexity in the system overall. But that's just another perspective. What I wanted to add in terms of the registration form, I think that we completely hear, and we're very much looking through the time it takes. And we have already analyzed much of that data, but it's something that we continuously looked and make sure that, you know, we're not inadvertently creating barriers. And there is a balance in terms of how much we would like to have for analysis, for research to be able to in the future learn more about works in research experiences and other offerings at NSF, and creating barriers to access these opportunities. So there is definitely a balance there that we need to strive every year. Conceptually, the NSF registration, whatever we ends up in that registration form, it's going to be non-customizable by definition, because what from the NSF perspective, we want to reach to that point where that form is sort of non-negotiable, because it allows us to have the sort of the minimum data that NSF can have across all programming. So that consistency in the data collection is very important for higher level, you know, leadership type of decision making. That it's, you know, we would like to be able to aggregate a REU program with STEM, with RET, with other programs, and have a better understanding of who are the students that are even aware that these opportunities exist, apply, and ultimately get participating, so that we can start having an understanding. Now, the length, to your point, and then I stop because I'm talking too much, but what we would like for you, I mean, I know the test course is a great example of, it's an optional item, and they're for many good reasons. There are people that are concerned. We don't, what I invite you to send us is like which other items that you see in the registration form you would not want it to be there, or that would be useful information for us to have. We are aware of a couple, but they're not that many. And yeah. When I hear you, I feel that you might have a longer list than the one that we are.
And we could.
That's a general. Sorry, that's a general you, Matt. We not you specifically, as you noted. You have reached out, which we appreciate.
Well, and this community is very like, we have a lot of, you know, every year conversations about how to do applications, what to include, what not to include. So we could, if you're willing to do this, we could put it out there on a shared document and let people make comments, and probably we'd get a handful of people that would have comments about how they would change things, or what they would delete or add.
Yeah. So financial, yeah. Sorry, I was going to make a comment. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so there are some items. So the how you're financing, that's a question that comes from NCSE survey. So some of the items are that you might find, just as this one or the disability. So there are items that are asked in other national surveys. So it will eventually allow comparison with the national samples, so that we can understand who are we reaching compared to a benchmark that from the nation. So they are worded exactly the same as in those surveys on purpose. And there has been an intentional effort at NSF to start getting more information about socioeconomic status as a minority group that perhaps we need to start understanding better and make sure that we can accommodate.
I know that Colin and Maggie have had their hands raised, but yes, I do want to get to DR's question, just because it follows directly onto this one, which is the one about does the registration form accept blank fields, or does it give errors and force the user to answer the question? So for the optional items, and I kind of skimmed over this, but when you see the slides, the ones that are actually optional and can be left blank are designated in the slide that actually had the kind of individual items earlier in the presentation. Ones that are required, many of them, I would say kind of all of them that are potentially sensitive, all include I do not wish to provide this information as an option choice, which definitely has been used, and we actually analyzed those data. All right, with that, let me go to Colin, who is next in the queue.
Hi, yeah, thanks. We had looked at this earlier and had decided that we didn't want to go with it because of the customizability, but it seems like you've made some advances in that area. But I have two, one specific question and then also kind of a comment. The question is really if you could go into a little bit about the back end review process and how that works, and how much of that is really handled within the system. And the comment is, I was noticing, I just was importing it's really nice the way that it interfaces with NSF, and you can import your project and all that. I was noticing in the location, the Greenland is missing. We have field work in Greenland, and Greenland is not listed. That may be because it's a constituent of the Kingdom of Denmark, but so similar to Scotland or Wales or something in the UK, but I just wonder if you'd comment. It seems like it's more different than Scotland and Wales in terms of its status.
Interesting. So that specific question, I don't have the answer to. If you can shoot an email to the help at nsfetap.org, we can look into that and make sure we don't lose track of that. Going back to your first question about kind of the review process. So currently, as the system sets up or is set up, is designed to facilitate whatever your existing review process is. Basically, you've got kind of options about how you download the information about the applications, how you choose to sort of use that or disseminate that kind of within your teams. There's nothing kind of within the system that allows people to kind of comment on specific applications or anything like that. Again, you have the ability to allow reviewers to look at the data within the system if you don't want to be sending files around. The one caveat in terms of like the current functionality for that is there's not any current way for you to select a subset of applications for a given reviewer to look at. So if you give somebody reviewer access, they're going to be able to see all of the applications. So you can't kind of say, okay, you've got everybody with last name A to F, that kind of thing. So it's really, I think it's very much designed to help that process, kind of what we give to you to support that process easier and more digestible, but there's nothing, again, sort of baked into the system that is really related to how you do your reviews. Is that getting at your question?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I haven't had a chance to look at any updates, but in a way, one reason we went with we currently use a product called Submittable, which we use at our university for some other things as well. And they have kind of a review process, and it allows you to log in, assign reviews to people. They can do ratings, and then you can use the system to sort and sort of facilitate the process. And that's a really nice feature to have in terms of, we get way more applications than we really would like to get. And so it's having some way of easily moving through those, assigning them to people, and having a rating system that we're able to make a first screening, and then we can look at things in more detail.
Yeah.
So that I think is maybe a disadvantage of not having things sort of baked into the system or a customizable review process.
Yeah, that is super cool functionality that you're exactly right. Doesn't currently exist, but we will. It's on the wish list as we keep mentioning, continuing to upgrade and sort of knowing what the needs are. It just really makes our work better focused. Thank you so much for the questions, Colin. Maggie.
Hi, thank you. So at the very end there, you mentioned that minors are not able to use the system. We are an REU program focused on sophomores. So every now and then, not routinely, but, you know, every couple of years we do get an applicant who is a minor. Could you tell me what their experience would be? Would there be a way to notify them to get in touch with us individually?
That is a great question. Cecilia, actually, and you've actually hit on something I'm not sure I know the answer to, and I'm hoping Cecilia does. In terms of how we do, is it if they enter a date of birth that makes them less than 18, they don't proceed? What's the actual like restricted functionality there? I could talk about what to do if that's the case, but I'm trying to remember how we identify those people. Do you know?
No, I don't think that's the system will alert them. It's more, I think right now, perhaps we should, but right now it's the way that we're disseminating is that if your opportunity is targeting or it's open to high school students or any other type of minors, that you just don't use ETAP for this year.
I mean, it's not really open to minors. It's open to college sophomores. And every now and then there is a college sophomore who is 17.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
You know, if in that year we have resources on hand to deal with that, we will consider the application. If we don't, then we don't. And I would be very happy to just allow those students to contact us directly to put in an application through some other means. I'm just wondering how to go about that.
I think one thing that this is making me think is that we need to add a question or a response to the frequently asked questions for applicants about what to do if they happen to be a minor, in addition to looking into technically what happens. So I really appreciate you kind of floating that question. I mean, I suspect the answer would be having them reach out to you directly, and it's a legal thing. Again, it's not as we're trying to stumble through here.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound
absolutely.
like it's a system constraint.
It's a legal issue on our end too.
Yeah,
Just like I said, I'd like them to get some sort of response that allows them to go ahead and put in that application with us directly, or to check and see if we have that capability this particular year.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That again, it's really helpful for us to think through all the interesting, unique use cases.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. I've not been following. There's a lot of chatter in the chat, but does anybody else have a question that we can address live?
I have another question that hasn't even gone into the chat.
All right.
So we've talked, you said that I can download a CSV with all of the application information, and for some tasks, that's what I'm going to want to do. But I also want to download each application as a PDF so that I can send it to reviewers. I might also want to download all the applications as a single PDF, although that's less required if that's difficult for you. Are those options also available? And if there's a PDF, does that include all of the attachments, the PDF attachments in a single PDF file?
Yes, yes, and yes. So if you're downloading you want to download an individual's application in the PDF, you can do that individually, and it includes all of the information, including all the attachments, transcripts, reference letters, whatever is attached to that application. If you want to download all of the applicants in a single PDF, you can. In addition, I'm fairly sure, although I can get back to you about this, that you can select a subset of individuals to download as a bulk PDF. Cecilia, correct me if
yes,
I'm
but I don't. So
that.
I think you can do bulk downloads of all the PDFs, but I don't think you can put all the applications in one master gigantic PDF. No, you would backload all of the applications.
Oh.
All of those PDFs.
I misunderstood that. See, I'm still learning about some pieces of the system myself. But that is functionality that could be useful though, Matt. So we're gonna put that on the wish list too. So yes, yes, and no were the answers to your questions.
I'm sorry, which one was no?
That creating one master gigantic PDF with all
that's
your
fine. I can do without that.
Okay.
Yet another completely different question. I'm like on the careful side, and I would like to test drive my application exactly how an applicant would see it before I make it available to the public. And I have not been able to find any way to do that on your system. Is that available?
It is not currently available. It is something that we also have heard. So it's definitely sort of a function that's out there. Cecilia, anything you want to add there?
Yes, I mean, I think we do not want PIs to start creating student accounts just to be able to check how it looks on the other side, because that's just creating dummy accounts in the system that we are not able to disentangle, whether that's an applicant that just dropped out, and and that would be a problematic. For example, when we start analyzing whether students get lost and do not finish the application, et cetera, et cetera. So we do not, we ask you that you please don't do that. So there's a couple, so you can see the registration form. I'm trying to be accommodating here. So one option that I can see, and Christina, see if this can be made possible, but that we provide like a one student test account through the help desk that PIs all share, and then when you're creating your opportunity, you put it as by invitation only, so you don't make it publicly available. You go with your test student, you check it out from a student perspective, and if all looks good, then you go back to your opportunity and you switch it to be application publicly available, and you're ready to roll. That's I don't know how feasible. Maybe I'm adding a lot of a lot of burden to the help desk by just even proposing this, but we're just trying to avoid PIs creating dummy accounts from students, pretending that they're students. So whatever we can do to satisfy your need, so you can preview your opportunity when you're publishing. Maybe why don't you experience it and see what your need is by the end. You can preview your opportunity, how it's going to look like. You can view the screenshots from a student's perspective, and if that doesn't satisfy your need, perhaps reach out to the help desk and we see whether we can give you a test account for you to do that.
Well, if the preview would show me exactly what it looks like from a student applicant, that would be all that I need. I will confess that creating dummy accounts is what I've done in the past, but I understand that you're collecting statistics on applicants, which we weren't previously doing. I understand that you're collecting statistics, so you don't want that. But because of that, I think it's even more important for you to provide a preview environment that shows me exactly what an applicant would see, so that I'm not tempted to create a dummy account. And if you have that available, I haven't been able to find it.
I will yes. So as Cecilia mentioned, there is relatively new functionality. So I mean, in the sense that it was added during the last year. So I'm not sure sort of how that dovetails with when you've tried to set up an opportunity. But Matt, we can definitely follow up on that specific case, because if you have specific feedback on what the preview looks like, to Cecilia's point, we would love to have that. We want it to be functional and useful for you guys, since we're now sort of including that as something that is intended to address that issue or that concern. Super. All right, we've got about 4 minutes left. Any other questions that we haven't responded to in the chat that you guys want to elevate?
Will your next webinar be pretty much the same, or are you going to cover anything different?
The one on Tuesday?
Yes.
It will be different, as a matter of fact. We will provide similar content sort of upfront that's just sort of orienting folks to the system. But as opposed to showing the video and sort of walking through on slides, we'll be doing a live demonstration. And so we'll really kind of dig into kind of how things look, including a little bit more of a focus on sort of the process and what the applicant sees than what we gave here. So I would say it's, if you've got the time, it's probably worth another chunk of your time. It won't be entirely redundant, but there will be some common info.
Will it be recorded as well?
It will be recorded. Yes, for sure. I don't think we've decided yet how we're going to disseminate that link after the fact. So that's a little bit still up in the air, but yes, for sure, it's being recorded. And I'm sure Valerie will follow up about this recording, although you guys are all here, so probably don't need that quite as much, but we'll also follow up with her to share the slides so she can disseminate those to you. And again, I don't think I threw up a screen that had my personal email on it, but as with anything, I feel like we're such a broken record. The help@nsfetap.org is the email address for the help desk. And we have a nice system where that gets filtered to the people it needs to go to. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys. We really do appreciate that your time is valuable. And again, every comment that you have is just something else that really helps us improve this and make it useful to you. So we appreciate you. Have a great afternoon.
See you Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Cecilia and Christina. Really value the opportunity to engage as a community with this content, you know, together in terms of making it more accessible for everybody. Thank you all for being here.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.